Hello lovelies, welcome back to my channel. On today's video I'm going to show you how to make this fitted bubu dress with cut together sleeve. I'm going to show you how to attach the neck side and also the buttons. Come along guys, let's begin. What you'll be needing for this outfit, you'll be needing your Ankara fabric, the lining material and crepe fabric with buttons, and don't worry, you still be needing your tape and your scissors, so that is important. So I'm using 5 buttons for mine. On the style inspiration it was 4 buttons, and the crepe fabric I used was half yard of crepe. Then the lining piece, I'm going to be needing like 2 or 2.5 yards of lining. Fold your fabric into two for the front and fold it into two again for the back. Now I made the front to be a bit out, so I placed the back on top of the front because I wanted half an inch for my front. When I'm done, when I want to cut it, I'm going to cut 2 inch, but that half an inch is going to be for the sewing allowance. Now you go ahead and you mark your measurement. You'll be needing your neckline, your shoulder, but this outfit does not have a sleeve. Okay, so there's no need to do the armhole area for the sleeve. What I'll be using with the sleeve length, so you are going to take your tip and measure from one end of your shoulder, that's your shoulder line, all the way to where you want the sleeve to stop. You see, what I did for mine was, earlier I made it longer, then later I decided to make it shorter. That's because the dress does not have long sleeve. So you mark your 18 or 16 inches, okay, and come down for the shoulder slope with 1 inch. But if you are using your fabric cut on fold, there's no need to add shoulder slope. So connect the neckline, and for the neckline I used 3 inches for the wideness, then the depth was 2 inches. That's for both the front and the back, because the front we are going to cut it as if we are cutting kimono. So you go ahead and you cut it out the neckline. After you are done cutting out the neckline, go ahead and mark your body measurement. Now for my body measurement, I added the armhole line, which is not necessary, but I wanted the dress to be a bit fitted on the bust area. Now to get your armhole line, you are going to divide your bust by 6 plus 1.5, and what I had was 8 inches. Then you go down and mark your waist, mark your hip measurement, and also you can also mark your waist to above knee, but I did not use that, it was not necessary. Now for the hip measurement, you are going to go ahead and divide your hip by 4. Whatever you have, mark it and add 1 inch sewing allowance. Do the same thing for your waist divide by 4. Whatever you have, mark it and add 1 inch sewing allowance. Then you can also go ahead and add half an inch for ease on both side, okay, on both the waist and the hip area. Now for that bust area that I was talking about, I divided it by 4, your bust by 4, and you add the 1.5 inch sewing allowance and ease. Now you see it's a bit high, right? So I want to make it to come down, because the sleeve length that I'm using, is the wideness of the sleeve is 10 inches. So I'm going to connect the shoulder slope to the 10 inches. That's what I'm doing right now. After connecting it, that bust measurement that I divided, you are going to come down to make sure it aligns with the sleeve. Can you see it? Make sure it aligns with the sleeve. Now if you've gotten that, you are now going to give it a curve. You see it? So that's like the sleeve, but we extended it a bit. Okay, on a norm you are going to now mark your sleeve and stuff like that, but because there's no need for adding sleeve, I decided to come down and extend it. Now when you are done, you are now going to come out from that sleeve area with 2 inches or 1.5 inch and curve. Now you are curving from your waist all the way down to the sleeve. That's how you are doing it. You curve from your waist all the way down to the sleeve area. Can you see what I just did? Then after you are done with that, you go ahead and connect your waist to your hip. It's like making a simple straight dress, but the difference is it has a Bubu effect. Okay, there's no additional adding it to make it to be big. But if you want to make yours different, I will advise you add bet to it if you want yours to be big, not fitted. Now whatever I had on the hip area, I went ahead and I mark it on the bottom part of the dress. So I mark it underneath. Can you see what I'm doing? So I had to mark it all the way down to the bottom part of the dress. Can you see it? So that's what you are going to do for yours. Just mark whatever you have for the hip. You can also minus, let's say, instead of marking exact, you can mark and remove 1 inch. Okay, if you want it to be tight, very 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 fitted on that area. But because I want her to be free, so I decided to just mark exactly. Now you go ahead and you remove that shoulder slope area, that extra 1 inch that you mark for the shoulder slope. Now we've gotten our dress pattern. Okay, so this is just the outline of the dress. Now we are going to separate the back from the front. Can you see it? You separate the back from the front. Now the back is cut on fold while the front is not cut on fold. You see what I was saying earlier, that I had to reduce it to 18 inches because it was way way longer, and I don't want excess fabric, and I don't want the sleeve to be so long, so I had to remove it. Now after removing it, I removed the back, unpin the back from the front, and we are going to work on the front piece. After separating the back from the front, go ahead and mark 2 inches. Now the 2 inches is the part we are cutting out because we'll be attaching the black fabric, right? Now you cut out that 2 inches. If you are making your kimono, this is just it. Now you determine your neck depth for the front, that depth that you need for the front. Okay, so I use 9 inches for mine, and I'm going to connect it from that 2 inches that I marked and connect it all the way to the neckline, that's the shoulder area. Okay, now you are going to take your scissors and cut it out, cut out that 2 inches, the excess. We don't need that part anymore. Now after cutting it, this for kimono, you are good to go. Now you cut your lining piece. After I've cut my lining piece and these are all the pieces, go ahead and join the shoulder to shoulder of the lining piece and also the shoulder to shoulder of the main fabric. After joining the shoulder to shoulder, you are going to now stitch the fabric to the lining piece. Please note that you have to make the fabric, the main fabric, to be a bit longer than the lining piece. Okay, so that when you fold it in, it's going to be very neat. Okay, so when cutting your fabric and your lining piece, let the fabric be longer than the lining piece. Can you see mine? That's how it's going to be, because when you turn it over, you are going to see the difference. Now I'm going to go ahead and stitch. So I'm done stitching it. Can you see it? This is the inside, so I'm about to turn it. Now I did not join the sleeve area. If you want to join the sleeve area, you can go ahead, but there was no point because I'm still going to use the fabric to turn the sleeve, so there was no point in joining the sleeve area. Now can you see how it is? Do the same thing for yours. Turn it out. After turning it, go straight to your ironing table and iron everything together. Now when you are turning it, you are going to turn it without opening in the front. If you want to stitch it, you can go ahead and stitch, but I did not because I'm using the crepe fabric to just seal it up. Okay, now if you want to seal it, you can do that for you to have a neater work, or well, it's all the same process. Now this is the sleeve area, and can you see how it looks? This is how it's going to be when you are done stitching. You are now going to use the crepe fabric to stitch it, turn it round. Okay, so it's like just stitching your normal dress instead of lining it if you are using crepe fabric for it. Now I'm done ironing it, and this is how it looks. So you are going to now take your fabric, or your tape, sorry, and measure the total length of the front. After the measurement, what I had was 128 inches. Okay, so that's what I had for mine. You are now going to do the same thing for yours. And after you are done measuring it up, you are going to now keep it aside, and we will cut on the front design, okay, that black part of the dress. Now you fold your fabric, because I like cutting multiple at once. Now you fold your fabric into four and you cut. So I'm using 5 inches, which means 5 inches, 2 inches for the design, then half inch for sewing allowance. So that's why it's 5 inches. Now I cut at three, right? Now cutting at three means I'm going to have more than the total amount I need for the design. So there's no problem, because you are also going to attach to your sleeve. You're also going to attach to your sleeve. So this is the excess that I needed, so I had to cut the excess and attach it to the two long part. Now you are going to do the same thing for yours and cut out the excess and attach it to the two long part. After that, the third one is for the sleeve. Okay, so that was why I said there was no waste. Now you are going to use your stay and iron the stay to each piece, then join the, you see that excess that we had for the longest part, you are going to join it. So I'm done ironing mine, and this is what I have. I folded it into two. So after you've ironed it, you fold it so that you have that line. Can you see it? You fold it so that you have the line. Now when you are done folding it to have the line, we are going to attach it now to the dress. But before that, we've not stitched it, so let me show you how to get the design. Now you are going to notch it. The notching part is you determine from your shoulder where you want the notch to be, like where you want the opening of the neck to be. Okay, if you want it to be 9 inches, 10 inches, it all depends on you. Can you see it? So that was what I did. Now I took the two pieces that I have and I'm going to mark it. But before you do that, you are going to take your tape and mark from that part that you notch all the way to the other part that you notch. So what I had was 23 inches. Now after I've gotten my 23 inches, it's time to show you how to achieve that with the design that we have. The 20 inches we are not going to stitch. You see that straight line that you can see in between, that straight line that looks like iron line, that's the part we'll be stitching. But for the 20 inches we are not going to stitch. Okay, so after you've marked it, now you are now going to stitch that straight line all the way down except the 20 inches side. You join the upper part. Okay, so this is it. Now you join the upper part and you are not going to stitch the 20 inches. So this is how it's going to be when you are done stitching. So I just wanted you to see it. You join that upper part and you stitch. So see, the 23 inches
You
line
have to
is the
ask your
opening.
client
Now
or
for the
ask
slit area,
yourself.
how long you want the slit to be. Okay, after you are done doing that, you stop stitching to that point. Now for the sleeve, you see what I did for the sleeve. I iron it half an inch and I folded it and iron. So cut your pocket. If for those adding pocket, my client, anytime I'm making outfit for her, I must add pocket. It's like she's obsessed with pocket, so I must add pocket no matter the style I'm making. Is a must for her. Now it's time to attach our collar and aka front design. So just be very careful when you are doing that. But before that, you have to attach the pocket, and for the pocket I went ahead and I marked the shoulder to the waist area and it gave me 17 inches. So you pin it and pin it on both the front and the back. You know, I'm going to pin in front and back, front and back. Then you stitch it on it. After stitching it on it, you are going to now turn. I think I should do a video on how to do this simple pocket. It's the simplest pocket to make ever. Now you are going to do the same thing for the back and stitch. Then when you are joining the sides, that is when you join the pocket. So you just go in. When you are joining the side is when you join the pocket. Okay, so can you see it? Then it's like together. So when you join the side, you join the pocket. For the pocket area, you come down by 1 inch, top stitch on both the front and the back. Then you do the same thing at the other end. You come down or come up by 1 inch, top stitch, then you go ahead and join the side. So that's how to join the pocket. It's very, very easy to make. Okay, so after the pocket area, it's time to show you how to attach the collar or our front design. Now the first thing you do in order to avoid mistake is you pin the upper part. You see that part to the opening, you are going to pin it. Notch your dress. Okay, so notch the dress to know the midpoint. After you've notched it, you attach the collar. Now you stitch the collar all the way to that point that you notch. Then you go ahead to the other side, so you are stitching both sides to the point that you notch. When you are done doing it, it's going to be easy to navigate it. If you don't do it that way, I'm telling you, you are going to lose and resew, lose and resew, because I've been there, I've done that, and it was not friendly at all. So you are going to do that, join it all the way to the part that you notch on both sides, please, before you attach it downwards. Okay, so I'm going to do that and I'm going to show you how it looks. So pin it very well to in order for you to have something very nice and pretty. Then you are going to use your interlocking machine to lock it to make it neat. Okay, now you are going to go ahead and attach the sleeve design. Okay, that extra fabric for the sleeve. Now the sleeve on is actually the easiest, so I normally attach from the back all the way to the front. So I'm done stitching it, and this is how it looks on the inside. Can you see it? So I'm cutting out the excess fabric, the thread. I don't want to see anything that is not pretty at all. Okay, so that's the sleeve, and can you see how it is after stitching? This is how it looks after stitching. Now after you're done, iron it and attach your buttons. Yes, I'm using 5 buttons, so I had to make it to be a bit close and not too close. Can you see it? So you take your needle and your black thread and start stitching. You can stitch from the inside, you can also stitch from the outside, but if you stitch from the inside, it's very easy to do. I'm going to do a short clip and show you how to attach your buttons. This is how it looks after stitching, guys. This is sewing a kimono, bubu, or fitted dress with sleeves, cut together sleeve with lining. So I know most people will just go ahead and stitch it without lining, but lining makes it look so professional and big. And I tell you, when you give it to your most clients, they appreciate it when you line their fabric and they pay you more for it. Okay, so this is it and this is how it looks. Thank you so much, guys. And also I went and I made an head piece for her. I wanted to just do something for her to appreciate her for being a value customer. She has been amazing. So this is just the earpiece and it goes along with the dress. Thank you so much, guys, for watching today's tutorial. If you want me to make the earpiece, you want to know how I do that, drop a comment on the comment section below. So this is how it looks on my mannequin.